Welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. We're going to have a fantastic conversation today. I want to remind everybody that all of these conversations are recorded. It will be uploaded into our YouTube channel by the end of the day. Also, we were looking at just how many videos we have, and we have hundreds of videos. They get viewed over 100,000 times a year and over 1 million minutes. So when you think of the content that we're providing to you to, improve your conversion rate, get more referrals from realtors, pretty much everything you need to do as a modern mortgage professional, we've got a conversation. I was just speaking at an event, and they were asking me about open house leads, how to, optimize getting leads at open houses, and it just came to me, I just interviewed Nicole Solari, an agent that did over 300 sides this year, where her #1 business pillar is open houses. And we've got a great video explaining how she gets leads at open houses and how she converts those. So just a tremendous amount of content. Today, the special guest is Mr. Tim Braheem, who I have interviewed more times than I can count, and also someone that has a number of videos in the all-time best video interviews. What's up, Tim?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me back, Dave.
Thanks for being here, brother. So everybody, Tim is playing hurt for the Mortgage Coach community. A couple days ago, he texts me and says, Dave, heads up, I've got 102 fever, and I don't know, we're going to play it day by day. So we were ready for plan B, plan C, and we got plan A. We got Mr. Tim Braheem himself. I appreciate it, Tim.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to give a bit of a backstory on this call. In the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind group, which every Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific, I lead a mastermind that's all about productivity. While it is the Mortgage Coach community, so, the total cost analysis is covered, but it's all sorts of topics. One day we talk about CRM, one day we're talking about perfect loan process. A couple days ago, last Friday, Josh Metal was sharing his 5 traits of the millionaire mortgage professional. But it's all about how to get more out of yourself, how to get more out of your day, and how to be super efficient. And the mastermind was the one that teed up today's call was about a perfect loan process. What are the milestones of a perfect loan process? And there's just no one better than Tim. And the topic that I wanted to bring out in some outside expertise was around gifting. So it was pretty well understood by the community that the total cost analysis is part of the perfect loan process. So whether you have the family, come into your office, whether you're meeting them at a coffee shop, a TCA, a total cost analysis, is part of a perfect loan process. But so are gifts. And Tim expanded that. He's going to unpack his thoughts in just a second here. But it's not just the closing gift. It can be transactional gifts. So Tim, I'm going to bring you on stage. I know you brought one of your clients, who I'll let you introduce when you're ready to introduce. But why don't you, kind of share the direction that you're going to take this conversation, knowing that we want to touch on perfect loan process, we want to touch on gifting, and we want to share best practices of Jim Baktiar and some of your other clients.
Great. Did you want me to turn my camera on, Dave, or is it better for nobody to see me at this point?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Turn on your camera.
If I turn my camera on, it might wake the people up that are half asleep, so that might not be such a bad thing. Let's go ahead and do that.
Mortgage Coach, it's all about authenticity, and it's all about real world.
Yeah, well, this is what it looks. Hey, this is what it looks like when you've been sick for a couple of days and haven't really gotten out of bed. So, it's interesting, Dave. I mean, so the perfect loan process was something that, of course, I designed, 15 years ago or something like that, and implemented with my team full on for a long time, and had everything to do with a lot of my success as an originator, and has now parlayed into having a huge impact on some people actually, like Caleb LeGrand and Jim Baktiar, who we'll be introducing today. But I mean, those of you that have been following this conference calling series know Caleb and his success. I mean, he would tell you that the perfect loan process has been one of the most, if not the most impactful things in his career. And as I look at it, the thing is that I think an important concept needs to be understood when it comes to a relationship with someone and doing a loan for someone and the opportunities that are available. And The concept being that you have an opportunity when you're doing a loan for someone to either make it purely transactional, which is what they expect, or to make it very much relational, which is something they don't expect, but going a much deeper cut than that is to create an experience. And that's the thing that I will offer that that's what we're all going for at the end of the day. I mean, why do we go on vacations? Why do we go to a nice restaurant? You know, why do we really do anything? Go to a sporting event, or you know, go to an event of any nature that can move us emotionally. I mean, that's the essence and juice of life. And if we can create an experience for someone, it transcends the relationship and takes it out of the realm of just another loan with just another team and a loan originator to something that's memorable, something that you won't forget, something that you want more of. And that's the sticky factor that something like a perfect loan process can bring to the equation, is this experience that I've had where I've been moved in some way on an emotional level, and I want to experience that again, and I want to tell people about it. And I want people that I like and that I know to have that experience as well. And when we bring Jimmy aboard, you know, Jim's become, I mean, not only is Jim a great implementer and a great businessman and a great loan officer, he's also a really close friend of mine at this point, and I'm really proud of him. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is just how he has taken this concept of creating an experience for people and really expanded upon it, and much more than I ever did. You know, I mean, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he took that idea to an entirely different level, and one of the things that I'll want him to even talk about briefly in this call is how he even brought that in-house. So looking at his team as customers, and how can he create an experience for them that makes it very enjoyable to of course be at work. And he does some really cool things at his office that we'll ask him to share in a moment. So the thing that I want everyone to think about is, you know, you've got this golden opportunity when you do a loan for somebody. They are a captive audience. They're not a passive audience by any stretch of the imagination. At any other time during the relationship, before you've, you know, taken their application or after they've closed with you, they're a passive audience. When you're database managing and you're sending information to them, they may or may not take in the content. But when you are in process, when you are doing a loan with them, they're an incredibly attentive, captive audience. Why? Because they have to be. Because you have vital information that they need to make sure that they're on top of for that 45, 60, 75-day window, whatever it is, where it's critically important that that they are paying attention to what you're sending to them. Now, of course, we don't want to abuse that privilege, but boy, do we want to take advantage of that opportunity, right? So if we've got this window of 45 to 60 days where we know they're going to read our emails, they're going to take our phone calls, they're going to listen to our voice memos or read our text messages, whatever the communication channel is, we need to design a plan to fully seize that moment to cement the relationship, to create, as Brent Hicks, who's in our master's program, calls it, ambassadors. Like he has taken the concept of raving fans and he said, that's not enough. Like, I want an ambassador. Like, I want somebody who is so moved by the experience that they've had with us that they are going to go out and they are going to talk to people about it, and they are going to, you know, really champion our cause. And the time to create that is when you're doing a loan for them, which you're going to see from Jimmy in a moment. And boy, I'll tell you, some of the letters that he forwards to me and the emails that he gets from clients and referral partners about how blown away they are by the things that he does for them are pretty phenomenal. So yeah, I wanted to tee that up, and we want to talk about, like, what are the key moments in the process where you can really deepen the relationship and transform it to create, you know, those ambassadors Brent's talking about.
I love that term, ambassador. I think everybody on the call can connect the dots. I mean, how many people do you have in your database? How many people do you think you have as ambassadors? I would love anybody, you know, I want to make this call as much of a mastermind and a participating thing as possible. So if you can just name the number of how many ambassadors do you think you have out of your entire customer base put that in Q&A. I would just love to know where you're at right now. And then by the end of this call, I think we're going to have a playbook how to turn more of your customers, past clients, into ambassadors. So Tim, yeah, why don't you bring in Jim? And I'll let you guys talk for a little bit, and I'll jump in when I have a question or I want to add some color. And remember, audience, participate, ask us questions, and right now let us know how many ambassadors you have.
And Dave, I'll cue you to throw up the slides in just a moment. And before I bring Jimmy in, one of the things that I would like to also add to that whole notion of ambassadors is that one of the things that startles people most, I think, when I first get to know them as a client, they start looking at the numbers of production that I did, the units on a monthly basis of 50 to 60 for 4 consecutive years, every month, 500-600 loans every year, and then they start asking me the question like, how many realtors, and other referral partners did you have? And the number's small. I mean, I had 4 stellar realtor partners, and then like 5 fringe realtor partners that did gave me like a deal a quarter. Because that's all the volume they did. 2 CPAs, 2 financial planners, 1 CPA, and 1 life insurance agent. And they do the math in their head, and they're like, wait a minute, how did you do so many loans when that's all you had giving you business? And the answer was that I had a lot of ambassadors in my database. And the perfect loan process really teed that up. And then that's what, so I want everybody to think about this for a minute. Like, if you don't create ambassadors with your loan process, and you just do an average job and you put them in your past customer database and then you market to them, your marketing is going to be far less effective post-closing because they're going to view you just as another guy who's in the financial services sector, or another gal that's in the financial services sector that's sending them something once a quarter or once a month or however the frequency is. If the relationship's been transcended into something during the loan process, into a personal relationship, into something that's touched them, moved them emotionally in some way, now what I send to my database has an entirely different impact because you're receiving something from someone you revere and that's your friend, etc. And that's where really most of my business came from, was past client referrals, repeat past customer business. It doesn't really need to be that hard if during the loan process you do all the right things. So Jimmy, if you could throw your camera on. Go ahead. Yeah.
And real quick, I do want to give some feedback. So Rob has 30 ambassadors. Jesse has 50 out of 350. Doug has 10. Bryce has 20. And by the way, folks, feel free to keep letting us know. But, so far it looks like nobody has more than 15% of their past customers as an ambassador. So at least I wanted to give a little perspective on that, Tim. Anyways, I'll let you take it away with Jim.
Yeah, well, the question for those folks and for everybody else is, how do you create more ambassadors? We're going to talk a little bit about that right now. And one of the things that a couple of our clients, people of the L360 family, have done, John Weller being one of them, Mike Roberts, who was in the top 5 in the United States in production last year, him being another one, is that they have made it a goal of their business plan to really deepen this concept of ambassadors. So what am I sending to my database? Is it on purpose? Is it something that's going to have a lasting impact? And those guys have really taken to the next level the concept of marketing to those ambassadors to really cultivate deeper relationships with them and generate more referrals. So, Jimbo, welcome, bro. Nice to see you, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You got it. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Jimmy, and then we'll throw some slides up there. But before we do, Jim, I would definitely think that the folks watching would really benefit a lot from just hearing a little bit about your evolution with implementing the perfect loan process. I mean, you've been in the L360 family for 4 years now, so I know that you were in the same group as Caleb, and you started working on that quite a while ago. But Jim Baktiar is out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, branch manager, producer with Leader One Mortgage. His team I know his team really well, and they're incredibly devoted to the cause, if you will, in terms of really wanting to make a difference and an impact in the lives of the customers and referral partners that they work with. Jimbo, tell us a little bit about, just on a broad-based level, what are some of your philosophies about the perfect loan process? What impact have you seen that it's had, as not so much the Milestone thing for right now, but just as an overall benefit of having a process and a fluid flow?
Well, so being part of Leadership 360 and implementing the perfect loan process, going through and creating structured steps throughout the process where everybody on the team has a dedicated task that they do. I mean, the perfect loan process has allowed us to know exactly what I do. First of all, I couldn't do anything that I do without the team and the dedication that they have. So, I mean, I'm grateful to my team and for everything that they do, and they are devoted to the cause. And the perfect loan process has allowed us basically to develop a culture of customer excellence. I mean, it's baked into our culture at a molecular level, and the goal is always to deliver. I mean, every company says customer experience is really important, right? But a lot of companies, just their actions demonstrate something completely different. And the perfect loan process and the implementation of the perfect loan process has allowed us to really deliver a great customer experience.
So let's talk a little bit about the impact on that. And this is, I think, one of the reasons that I wanted you to do this call. And Jimbo, I don't know if you have by any chance, do you have any headphones that you could throw on? Because I think we're getting a lot of feedback on your computer. If there's any possibility you could do something about that, that would be great. But I'm hearing a lot of feedback, especially when you just moved your hand there. The one thing that I've noticed, or the one thing that I wanted and why I wanted you to be on this call, is because I realized that when we put people on a call, say like Caleb LeGrand, who's doing 40 units a month, it could be a little bit far out there reach for people. Okay, so somebody that's sitting here watching this call that's doing 5-7 deals a month, they may say, gosh, that's so far out of my realm of reality right now, like I can't even relate to that. So when I met you, you were doing about 7 to 8 deals a month. Okay, and now you're doing roughly 15 a month. Okay, so your production has doubled. But I think that there's something really incredibly profound about your story, which is, you know, your average check size and how the process itself has decommoditized your role. Whereas, you know, many of the loan originators out there are working for 100, 150 basis points. You're working for a lot more than that. Speak to the level of confidence that a process like this can give you in terms of your pricing, and what your average check size is for those 15 loans a month.
Well, yes, we do make considerably more than 1.5% per loan, and one of the main things that I got out of Leadership 360, and one of the things that really hit me, is that it's okay to not be everything to everybody. It's okay to work with people who believe what we believe, and people that believe in a customer experience and having an amazing lending experience love working with us. And I'm okay with the people that are just rate shoppers. And when I talk to people up front, or when anyone on the team talks to people up front, we're 100% confident and can confidently tell them they're not going to get the experience with somebody else, whether it be Quicken or another local lender, that they get with us. So that has significantly allowed us to significantly increase our pricing. Our average check size, and keep in mind this is Albuquerque, New Mexico, so my average loan is about $205. And our average check size is $8,800, and that includes, you know, Govy, conventional, all overall loans. And I attribute that directly to the experience that we provide. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, like, everybody can do the math on that. You're doing, you know, 15 loans a month at an average check size of $8,800, and then, and I mean, that's profound, right? That's a big number. And before anybody jumps to any judgment and says, wait a minute, that's charging too much. There's a reason that people, are you still there, Jimmy? Now we're getting even more feedback from that headphone jack, so if you could check that out. Sorry about that. There's a reason that people will pay to shop at Nordstrom's. There's a reason that people will pay to stay at a Four Seasons. You know, you have to determine for yourself, who are you? Are you the low price leader? are you the experience creator? You know, and I think that that's the path that you've taken, and several other loan originators within our family, and that's what I did as an originator. I mean, I charged a reasonable price. I mean, I think I averaged, you know, about 130, 140 basis points, but I wasn't leading with rate or price to get my business. I was leading with service and experience and education, which is, I think, the field that you want to play in. You know, there's going to come a point in time, of course, where the industry is further commoditized with the Quicken loans, as you mentioned, Jimbo, and there's still going to be people who are going to say, you know what, I'm too busy to deal with doing everything on my own, talking to somebody who's incompetent, you know, having to devote a lot of time to the process. And again, like I said at the top of the call, there are people that are going to want to have an experience, and I think that's your customer. That's what you've identified. Your volume's gone up, and your you know, obviously your income's gone up tremendously as a result. So if Dave could throw up, I'm going to tee up very briefly, and then I'm going to let you further it. Jim has identified a few steps during the process that he considers to be the key milestone touch points. So when do I have a moment of power? When do I have an opportunity to make an impact? When do I have an opportunity to make an impression on somebody that touches them in some way? And when I say touches them in some way, I mean, I don't want you to feel like it always has to be emotional, but when you know, like making somebody laugh is touching them. Creating a humorous memory or a moment where you feel cared for is what I'm talking about. That's the big moment where the transformation occurs. And when Jim goes through these slides right now, I want you to pay attention to a few things. Number one is the quality of the gift. Okay, I've received all these gifts from him. He sent them in a big box to my house. I have all of them at my house. I used the socket wrench set in my garage last weekend. I used the bottle opener. I mean, I use all of these things. The bag, the insulated bag I take to the grocery store. It's super high quality, guys. I mean, this is stuff that you will not throw away. You'll be like, wow, this is cool. And then maybe more importantly, check out the messaging. And Jim, when you go through that, sometimes you tend to fly through that, and I want you to go through it a little bit slower, because I think that's the magic, man, is what you and your team have come up with in the way that you have tied together the gift with the moment in time in the process, and creating a kind of a moment there. Dave, if you could put the slideshow up now, that would be awesome. Okay. And I'll take myself off the camera here so we could probably have a little bit more size. Go ahead, Jimbo.
All right, well, that's actually the second gift that goes out, but the first gift is the insulated tote bag. So first of all, one of the things that you said that really hit me when you were talking a minute ago was the educational piece to the process. So we definitely take an educational approach to mortgage lending, and that significantly involves MortgageCoach and doing total cost analysis for each and every one of our clients. So the MortgageCoach is definitely part of the process. But going through the gifting, so the first one there is that insulated tote bag that you mentioned, and that goes out at the time of application. So as soon as we have a quote-unquote loan, the insulated tote bag goes out. We also, when we're taking the loan application, we really try to connect with our clients, and like you said, make emotional touches with them. So in addition to the insulated tote bag at the beginning of the process, if they have children under 10, we will send a Bernstein Bears Moving Day book to address to the children. So when we're taking the loan application, we'll let the borrower know that we're going to be sending this to their children, ask for the children's names, and people are, I mean, it blows people away. They're like, oh, wow. And we'd let them know that, you know, we're going to be sending them a book addressed to the children so that they don't feel like we're some weirdo sending stuff to their kids. But the messaging with the insulated tote bag is, and like you said, this is all high quality stuff. I mean, stuff that I use myself. The messaging with the insulated tote bag is that please use this bag for all your shopping needs between now and closing. And if you're going to make any large purchases or purchases that don't fit in this bag, now obviously a diamond ring could fit in that bag, but you know, we're talking about cars and you know, appliances and stuff like that. please make sure you contact us before making any of those purchases. So that just reinforces our messaging to them about, you know, let's not have any changes in your financial situation between now and closing that may jeopardize your loan. And one of the other things that, you know, the perfect loan process has allowed us to do is being proactive instead of reactive. So this was designed to proactively let people know, you know, now's not the time to go shopping for a new car. And so that was at the time of application. The second slide, Dave, if you want to put up that little phone charger. One of the other things that's in our perfect loan process is some scripting that I do when I initially talk to people about, and I get their commitment about how critically important it is. And the only way for us to provide them an amazing mortgage experience is with them basically leading the way and cooperating and being the team MVP by providing all of their documentation. We do not say as soon as possible with them. We set a time with them where the documents have to be back by, like, for instance, Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And when they do hold up their end of the bargain and get all the documents to us, this little charger goes out, and the messaging there is, you know, thank you for sending us all the requested documentation. Once again, we can't provide you an amazing lending experience without you leading the way. Please use this to keep your phone charged so we may contact you with the good news of your loan approval. So I also make a phone call at that point, letting them know, you know, thank you, your loan's moving over to processing, and kind of explain the process to them a little bit more. The next gift, Dave, is the car set, the socket set, that one. So at conditional approval, conditional loan approval, this goes out. And it's actually a really cool thing to have in the back of your car if you ever have any issues or an emergency with your car. And the messaging there is that the loan process is cruising along smoothly. Should your car not cooperate on the road as smoothly as this loan process is going, please, in this, you know, spirit of safety, please feel free to put this in the back of your car and use it should any, you know, you run into any road bumps on the road. The next gift is that wine set. And if I'm going through the messaging too fast, Tim, just slow me down. You know how I can go. The executive wine collector set, I realize that not everybody drinks, but typically everybody has people over or they have wine. So this wine set is actually really cool and beautiful. It comes in a nice box. And if you'll notice, none of our branding is something that sticks out and kicks people in the face. It's all pretty subtle branding. So that little silver thing on the top just says Leader One Financial. I don't have my phone numbers or any of that stuff on there. It's just basically from the heart. And one of the things that really warms my heart is seeing people happy when I give them these gifts, when they get these gifts. I mean, like Tim mentioned earlier, people will call up and just thank us profusely for the gifts that they're giving. They'll write reviews for us saying they even gave us gifts for stuff that I was supposed to do. And we're seeing a lot of traction, and there's measurable business outcomes with this gifting process, which wasn't my goal at the beginning. So this is delivered to closing if it's a local closing by one of the team members. And as you mentioned earlier, everything has been brought in-house, and we do all of this stuff from the office. All the cards are handwritten. The cards are also pictures of our dogs. We have 3 dogs at the office every day, and the cards have a picture of the dog on them, and we call it a knock your socks off service. So they start out with little booty socks on, and by the end, the socks are off, and you can see them on the picture on the card. The messaging here is just, you know, congratulations and, you know, welcome to your new home, and we hope that you create nothing but great memories with friends and family and those that matter in your new home. And like I said, this is delivered to the closing. If it's an out-of-town closing, we don't deliver it. We just mail it to the title company and make sure that it's there. We'll coordinate with the escrow officer. Then 45 days post-close, that's the cheese set, Dave. And it's a really cool cheese tray that it comes with some chalk so they can write brie or, you know, whatever kind of cheese it is on there. And this is sent out 45-day post-close. just letting them know that, they're still top of mind with us, because most loan officers, we close the deal and we're on to the next month to see how many deals we can close. And just thanking them for allowing us to assist them with the largest financial transaction of their lives. And this is kind of old messaging that you see on there, but we do now kind of ask for referrals at this point and say, is there anyone else that you can think of that we may be a resource to regarding mortgage finance? So
how much does the entire package of gifts cost? So you've got 5 gifts that are sent out during the loan process, that up to 45 days after closing. How much does it cost?
With shipping, the cards, everything, it's $329.
Okay, so you're investing $329 during the loan process to create an exceptional experience. I don't think anybody on this call that sees these 5 gifts, especially with the messaging attached to them, would deny the fact that, wow, this is gonna catch people's attention. It's not like people are gonna go through it and go, oh yeah, I've been through this before. Not even close. It's gonna be a wow moment for them to receive these things. And trust me, folks, like I've said, I can't even count anymore how many emails Jim has forwarded to me of people that are just absolutely blown away. Like, it'll be like, another gift, ? Unbelievable. You guys are amazing. I can't thank you enough. This is incredible. Like, I mean, it's like people are blown away by this. So, it's kind of like, don't half-ass this. I mean, like, you're either the low-cost leader and you don't do any of this stuff, or you're not about price and you're all about experience and you do it better than anybody else, which is the approach that Jim's taking. He's investing $329 back into every loan to make sure that at the end of the transaction, the client is a raving fan, an advocate, a disciple, whatever terminology that you want to use. You also skipped something that you do. Tell them about the cookies.
Yeah, I just thought about that towards the end. So we have an Otis Spunkmeyer oven here at the office. We get cookies every month from a local distributor, and at conditional loan approval, in addition to the gift, we deliver freshly baked cookies in a nice Leader 1 tin with Leader 1 balloons on it to the borrower's place of work, the co-borrower's place of work, the listing agent, and the referring partner.
So 4 dozen cookies at every loan approval goes out to those 4 entities. Correct. With balloons, congratulating them on loan approval.
Correct.
I mean, think about it, folks. I mean, like, if you're doing this on every deal, it's like there's no chance they're not coming back. Let's just establish that. The next time they need a loan, they're working with you. I mean, if any of you have studied Robert Cialdini's law of reciprocity, I mean, it's like, this is cementing reciprocity 101. But on top of it, I mean, they're going to be talking to people about you because they're going to be their expectations are going to be so exceeded, which again is the name of the game. Like, you want to keep working hard to have to create new relationships all the time, or would you rather work a lot smarter and take advantage of the opportunities when you are doing a loan with somebody to really exceed their expectations and blow their mind? So I want you to talk real quick before we close this up, because I'm sure Dave has some questions and whatnot. I think that there's another piece of this that's important for you, which is the way that you've set up the environment within your team. So what's going on at that office of yours is a very special thing. And I think to get them to be on board with implementing these types of things and to be passionate about the perfect loan process, it starts with you treating them with respect and creating a working environment that's exciting and creates moments for them. So why don't you tell us just about some of the things. You mentioned that you have 3 dogs at your office all the time. Everybody gets to bring their dog in that works there. But what else do you guys do?
We have a ping pong table in the lobby. So you walk in, there's a ping pong table in there. And, if the girls aren't playing ping pong as much as they used to. We've been a little busy. But they, if they were stressed or something, they'd go spend 5 or 10 minutes and play ping pong and get back to work and be a lot more, it's a stress reliever. So they enjoy it. We've got a bar/kitchen area where there's a cappuccino machine if they want to make cappuccinos. I go to Whole Foods and there's healthy snacks for them at all times. To me, they're my most important customers. I mean, I get a little emotional just thinking about them, because they would all run through a wall for me because they know that I would run through a wall for them. I'm just blessed to have an amazing team and amazing partners. Really, they're the best. And you know, I'll do anything for my team. I'll stand up for my team any day, anywhere, anyhow. There's just a lot of stuff that we sprinkle in. We're here to have fun. One of my sayings that we talk about all the time is, if we're not having any fun doing this, let's find something else to do. So, you know, that's one of the things that we talk about at our Monday morning meetings. And, you know, we're all friends. We're friends with their spouses. We're a big family of brothers and sisters who have each other's back. I'm sure, are there times when we fight? Like I fight with my brothers and sisters? Absolutely. But it's never fighting from a hateful place. We're brothers and sisters who just love one another.
And I'm sure that your clients feel the trickle-down effect of that, right? So they come into your office, and if there's a happy environment that they're walking into, they feel that energy, then that just parlays right into, you know, these different touch points during the process, you know, including the cookies and all that kind of stuff. By the time those 45, 60 days are over, they're like, wow, like I feel like I really know that team. They're not just a lending team. They're a special group of people that I'm glad that I've become acquainted with, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been people that have come in to the office and written letters after the fact about what that they could feel it was a happy environment and that everyone cared for one another. And, you know, we got a letter last week from a client that we closed that she wrote a long handwritten letter and just said, you've created a wonderful environment there and I love it.
Awesome.
Back to the resources that you were talking about spending on a loan. The book that you introduced us to at our master's retreat in Austin, the Jay Baer, you know, utility book. He wrote another book called Hug Your Haters, which is a great book. And he talks in there about how companies expend resources significantly more on getting or client acquisition versus client retention and client satisfaction. There's $500 billion a year spent globally on client acquisition marketing, and there's $9 billion a year spent on customer retention and customer happiness. And those people are already part of our tribe. So me keeping them happy is significantly more impactful on our business outcomes than me trying to go out and advertise on Zillow or Boomtown or, you know, spin my wheels trying to acquire new clients and expending our resources there.
And remember something, you know, when well, there's kind of two kinds of gifts that we've identified. I suppose I should mention this. There's what we call perishable gifts, and then there's what we would call non-perishable gifts. When Jimmy's delivering cookies to people's places of business, to those 4 different entities, that's a perishable gift. And the nice thing about a perishable gift is that we tend to share perishable gifts, because I mean, I could eat a dozen cookies no problem because I'm a cookie fiend, but most people would give out some of those. I'd bogart them. I wouldn't give them to anybody, but most people would give them out. And there's a benefit to that, right? There's the viral aspect of it, is that, you know, you come into the office, you got the balloons, you can smell the cookies, people are inquisitive, like, who are those cookies from? Oh, and then you're handing them out, and now you're talking about the fact that you're doing a loan with this team and they've been fantastic. The other thing is the non-perishable gifts, which is everything that you're sending out, the insulated bag, the battery charger, the car kit, which that's not just a car kit, by the way. I mean, you undersold the crap out of that thing, man. That thing's awesome. Like, holy crap. Like, there's like a ton of good stuff in there. I mean, I was going through it the other day. I'm like, geez, this thing's like, it's like Home Depot in a box, man. I mean, there's a lot of it's like a socket wrench set there that's really good, and screwdrivers and all kinds of things. You know, and then of course the wine opener, which all of that stuff is really high quality stuff. I think that's important. And number 2 is it's all useful stuff. So be careful, for those of you that are watching, what you send out, because I see things all the time. Like, we're getting ready to welcome in our 6th Leadership 360 group. I can't believe it's been 6 years now. And when we get together in November in Costa Rica and have our retreat, you know, we'll be going around the room and we're talking marketing. And every year it happens where people in the group will share things that they're sending out to their past client database and what the methodology is behind it. There'll inevitably be 1 or 2 people I'll be like, who uses that? Like, what? Like, why would you send that? Nobody's going to use that item. Like, the key thing is, you know, like Caleb LeGrand sent me he got this idea from me, but he sent me one of those jar openers, you know, the rubber grip thing that you can open a jar. He sent it to me 4 years ago. I still have it in my kitchen drawer. I used it like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, there's the car kit. It's got his logo on it. Every time I use it, I think of him. That's what I want you guys to be thinking about, is something that's useful, that the person's going to use over and over and again, and every time they do, you're buying brain cells. They are thinking of you indirectly. You're front of mind consciousness, and that's the importance of these milestone gifts. So Dave, thanks for letting us roll with this. Why don't you go ahead and take over from here, brother?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to take over, but I do want to involve the community. So couple things, community, if you're on this call, would love to know how much you're investing in your gift strategy. You know, this gift strategy started as, you know, your closing gifts. And I'm actually going to show a link to the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind, which, by the way, if you're on this call, just, you know, go into Facebook, and it's the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. You know, we let all mortgage professionals in. But there was a question: what do you provide your clients as a closing gift? And there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's so many great gift ideas. One that wasn't mentioned that I'm a big fan of, but the Amazon Alexa and Echo, I think we're going to see more families using voice in so many different ways. So that was a gift that was, you know, we all voted for it, and it was among the top 5 new gifts to give out there. I don't know what you guys think of that, Jim and Tim, but I'm not here to judge the gifts. I'm here to create community. Obviously, we've got Tim Braheem, you know, the leader of the perfect loan process. We've got one of his, you know, great loan officers that's got a very comprehensive gift strategy. So I do want to shine a light that you can participate. Go into this Facebook group and let us know what you're doing from a gifts perspective. But I also, in this call right now, I would like to know, what is your budget? Thank you for the transparency, Jim, of telling us what your budget is. But let us know. And by the way, if you have no budget, like if you don't have a formal gifting strategy, just say 0. Say, I am not doing it. We're not here to judge. We're here to educate and provide you with some ideas. But we would like to know, you know, what is your current gifting budget? And then I think another big takeaway from today's call, I love the ambassador. So we're not just looking for past clients that will refer us business. We're playing for ambassadors, people that always remember you, will always refer, will go out of their way to refer business to you. That's the game that these guys are playing. And they're not just doing a closing gift. They have a milestone strategy. So let's see, we've got 0, 125, 25, 0, 100. So far, no one is coming close to Jim on the gifting strategy. So guys, we're at about 15 minutes left, and I know, Tim, you have some other clients that are part of Leadership 360 that I want to go through. But Jim, if you could just share a little bit about how you justify and you ROI that $300 plus spend. Anything you could speak to, you know, direct referrals that came from your gifting strategy. You know, how do you justify the spend that you're at right now? Jim.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. He did go down from the video. I thought he was just jumping off stage.
Maybe he lost his internet. We'll see if he calls back in.
Yeah. So, Marcy, if you could keep an eye out for Jim, also maybe message him on the backside. And then, Tim, why don't you speak to that? And then also, I know you have some other clients that you want to talk about their gifting strategy. And we've got about 15 minutes left. Heads up.
Sure. Well, I'll let Jimbo speak to his, I don't know the quantifiable numbers as it relates to how many referrals he's received directly, or, you know, he wouldn't be able to track indirectly, of course, as it relates to his program and the expenditure of $325 per transaction. But I will tell you this, like I said, I've seen, I can't even count anymore. mean, since he's not on the call, I'll be candid. Like, I'm kind of getting tired of him sending me all these thank you letters that he sends, because he sends every one of them to me. And I'm kind of like, yeah, no, I get it now. Okay, they love you. But it's crazy. I mean, he'll get, you know, 4 or 5 like letters that you would, you know, you would dream to write yourself, right? I mean, just like they're gushing over like the experience of working with him. And I think Jimmy just realized a long time ago that, you know, he works in a market that doesn't have very large loan amounts, and he just realized a long time ago that he just didn't want to be the low price guy anymore and compete on that level. Jim, can you hear us now? Looks like he's still getting set up there. Are you there?
Yeah. So, by the way, while we're getting Jim back, we did have someone.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Well, let us know when you can, Jim. So I did have someone else that spends $250. I've got several that are spending over $100. I shouldn't say spending, investing over $100. And for Mortgage Coach community, I mean, the playbook for the perfect loan process, it's really pretty straightforward. I mean, there's a lot of details and a lot of nuances to it. But if you deliver a total cost analysis when you deliver the advice, and then if you have a great milestone, an intentional milestone gifting strategy, you're going to blow people's minds. You know, it will be a wow experience. And again, I'm not here to advocate what the spend should be. You know, whether not, I do think 0 is probably not the right answer. If you're playing the ambassador game, you know, if your goal is to, you know, take customers and turn them into raving fans and ambassadors, 0 is probably not the right number. But, you know, I don't know what the right number is. I think it depends on who you are and what market you're in. Tim, while we're waiting for Jim, let's plan on trying to bring him back in the last 5 minutes. Why don't you share some of the things that some of the other clients are doing? Yeah. And then also everybody, go ahead, Jim.
Let's look at something that's a little more cost affordable. Okay, so this is Caleb Legrand's program. Now, you're not going to be able to see what this is. It's up here, but I'm going to tell you about it. So this is a card, like a laminated card, that goes inside of a gift bag. Okay, and this is an introduction to everybody on his team, and each of them has written something very funny about an item that's in the bag. So you pull this laminated card out, and it would be a descriptor that's humorous from each of his team members about one of the following items. So go ahead and click to the next page there, Dave. Okay, so that's the bag that it comes in. So at the time of loan application, he sends this out. It's kind of almost like his brochure with handy little gifts embedded in it. Go ahead and go to the next one. Ton of feedback there. I don't know where that's coming from. What he has here is this is a little. Obviously, this is the low-budget version of what Jimmy's sending out. This is a cheese holder here, the blue thing at the bottom. I'm not really sure what that thing is at the top, to be honest with you. I don't recall what that is, so we'll skip to the next thing, but that's also in the bag. The chip clip, which I still have. In fact, it's on a bag of popcorn in my pantry right now. I just was eating popcorn last night. The jar opener that I referenced, I mean, this is all just little $2 items that are in this bag, but they're all useful things. They're all branded, and I still have all this stuff, and he sent it to me 4 years ago. Next one, please. Okay, then you've got the ice scraper, okay, for, you know, when you wake up in the morning in the wintertime and you get a scrape, that's the top red item. And then lastly is the kind of utility pen, which is almost like a Swiss Army knife. It's got a screwdriver, it's got a little knife in there, some tweezers, etc. And this all comes in this little blue bag. Like I said, with a laminated card with photos of each of the team members, and each of them makes a very funny comment on how they use one of the items. So it's a very creative, $10, maybe $15 total gift that he sends out that has, you know, pretty high impact. I would argue that what Jimmy's doing is at a totally different level and justifies his expense and will generate a lot more referrals. But if you're not gonna go that route and you want to go more of an economic route, this is a nice option. I personally feel like, especially, by the way, I want to comment on something you said, Dave, about the total cost analysis at the top. I mean, that's so critical. I don't want this to get lost in the shuffle here, is that, you're not just a gift giver, you're a financial consultant, and it has to start with that, right? So you have to start off with impressing them with your knowledge and education of their financial decisions, and then from there you just crank up the emotional end of things and blow them away with a lot of helpful things. So if you want to go to Mike Roberts' stuff, I think that, or maybe it's Stevie Grossman's stuff next. Grossman does a really amazing job of this, and I'll talk to you guys about that when you get to his slides. That's like the umbrella, Dave, and you there, Dave?
See it? I've got Grossman's umbrella showing right now.
Don't see it. There we go. Thank you. So let me tell you about Steve Grossman. You guys probably remember he was interviewed about a year ago or so, I guess it was, and by Dave. Grossman does about 30 deals a month. I don't know anybody who's a better networker than Steve. He's an amazing networker, really, just beyond description. He has a potpourri of different gifts. Now, these are not as a part of his perfect loan process, but these are a part of his nurturing of his past client relationships, and it's very strategic. So let's start at the top. I'm going to describe each of these things just to make sure everybody sees them, because everybody can capture ideas. Okay, so he's got the NGA Lenders calendar that goes out every year. Go ahead and go to the next one. That goes out to his entire database. I think that what this is, if I'm not mistaken, is a cell phone holder with NGA Lenders on it. Go to the next one. This is a really nice umbrella. Like, I've got this umbrella at home. It's probably the highest quality umbrella that I've ever had. I mean, this thing's not going to get ripped inside out when it's a windy day. That's got NJ Lenders on it. He's in New Jersey, of course, so on the East Coast it rains a lot. So super handy gift. I believe it's like $30. He didn't send it out to his past client database. What he does is he keeps these things handy. I'm going to tell you about a couple of other things because I don't think we have pictures of them. He also has the chairs that you put in the bleachers when you go to like a high school football or basketball game that say NJ Lenders on the back. He also has these ice chests, which I have about 5 of these in my garage. I take them whenever I go to the beach or to the park with my kids or whatever. I just throw a couple of ice packs in there and throw my sodas and fruit and all that kind of stuff in there. These things are really, really handy. They're like $15 or $20, not expensive at all, and insulated and all of that. He also has blankets, like nice thick blankets that say NJ Lenders on them. Now, here's like some of the strategic ways that he uses them. So if he's doing a loan for somebody, he may just decide to, like when he finds out a little bit about them, like if they're a businessman or a businesswoman that, you know, is in New York City and they walk from their apartment to their office, that's who he's going to give an umbrella to. Or if they have a kid who's in high school, he's going to give them the chair for the bleachers or the blanket for when it's cold in the wintertime and you go to the high school football game and you need to wrap yourself up. But he even goes a little bit further than that. He was telling me that, like, one of the things he'll do is, like, when his teenage kids, when they'll have like a buddy over, like he'll start talking to, you know, his son's friend, and it'll be like, you know, hey, how your mom and dad doing? Hey, take this home to them, and he'll give them an umbrella to take home to their parents, or a bleacher seat or a blanket, which is really brilliant when you think about it. It's like, I don't know this guy. He just gave me a gift that's really cool and valuable. It has his company name on it. The next time I need a loan, I'm going to probably give him a shot. So he's just masterfully spreading the word. He told me that it's absolutely common for him to go to a high school football game and for him to see bleacher seats and blankets sporadically throughout the stands that have his company name and logo on it, which I think is super smart. You can go ahead and skip forward now, Dave.
Yeah. By the way, super smart. And I want to remind everybody, both Caleb and Steve Foreman have delivered thousands of total cost analysis. So these are guys that are just walking the talk. They're delivering trusted advice at the point of sale, and then they're delivering, you know, the right gift at the right time to people in a way that matters. So Tim, we got a little less than 5 minutes, and I know you got a couple more slides. I'll let you rock it out and close out.
So this is just a quick little easy one, not expensive, but super handy. Ryan Morrow, who's in the L360 family, uses, has the customized return address stamp created for the client for their new home. I think it's a cool little gift. Comes in this nice little wooden Sierra Pacific box that he sends out to them. Craig Strent, who you guys know, who's a big user of the Mortgage Coach, what they do is they actually get a photo of the home from the appraisal, and then this isn't the actual photo itself. They do something in their marketing department with some type of photo distortion that creates almost like a pastel look to it, and then they frame it and send it to the client. And then if you go to the last set of slides, I think we have Mike Roberts, and he does some pretty cool stuff too. There we go. City Creek Mortgage out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Mike Roberts does a lot of really cool things. Journals, pens, charger kits for electronics, tote bags, all that kind of stuff. And I know that one of Mike's big pushes is to really market to his advocates. He has identified, and I really recommend that all of you do this, you go through your database, identify the people in there that you believe are your advocates or have the potential to be your advocates. Potential meaning, they're well-connected people, they're extroverted people, they've displayed an ability to refer business in the past. And make sure you're staying in touch with them much more frequently. This is a cleaning cloth for your laptop and multi-use chargers and things like that Mike Roberts also sends out to. It's just super helpful stuff. You can get a lot of this stuff at a very reasonable price if you buy it in bulk. So keep that in mind too. The more units that you buy, the cost gets driven down significantly. So that's it, Dave. Those are just some of the ideas of things that people might be able to benefit from.
All right. So Tim, super grateful for you coming in and being the perfect loan process guy. This was a little different call than we've typically done, but I love it because let's face it, when I interview the best of the best, Mortgage Coach is part of it, but they're doing a lot of other things to drive success. They're using video. They're delivering consistent experiences. They're recruiting and have great teams. They have it all documented. Tim, in the last 2 minutes, I'm really going to give the mic to you. You're coach, is what you do for a living. Unpack this as a coach for everybody. It's recorded so they can re-listen to it. But what advice do you have for folks coming out of this 58 minutes? Unpack it for one minute. Tell everybody what they need to do as next steps, and then close with how everybody can get in touch with you and learn more about Leadership 360.
Thank you. Like I said, I think the first thing that I would be doing, Jimmy mentioned this about, the amount of money that you spend on customer acquisition versus customer retention. I would definitely Google Jay Baer, B-A-E-R, utility, Y-O-U-T-I-L-I-T-Y. Watch his videos. He's really bright. So many of the things that he talks about with utility are things that I implemented back in the day as a loan originator and were a part of what I put into Loan Toolbox. I think he's modernized it quite a bit and done a great job with that. Utility is marketing that is so useful that you would pay for it. I want to repeat that. I think that's a really important thing to get your arms around. Marketing that is so useful that you would pay for it. Really take a look at evaluating what you're sending out. Is it useful? Is it something that's going to have legs to it, meaning that people are going to use it over and over again? I think that's really important. Are you marketing to your advocates? How are you creating advocates? So I think that the thing that I would be doing is really taking a look at your marketing strategy to past clients and how frequently you're dripping on them, and are you having high impact? The second thing that I would be really looking at for sure is how are you taking advantage of that precious 45 to 60-day window where you do have their attention, where they're going to read everything and look at everything that you send to them. They have to because they're doing a loan with you. What are you doing? What's the system that's in place to ensure that when you do a loan with somebody And that includes the referral partners, by the way, the realtors on the transaction. When you're doing a loan with somebody, what's the system that's in place to ensure that they don't forget about you, that they want more of that feeling, they want more of that experience? And it could be something, gang, as simple as just a really heartfelt, personal, handwritten note card to them, or a certain book that you really like that you think really has a high impact and high leverage on people's lives, as well as various milestone gifts that are creatively tied into the process itself. But you do have this precious period of time where you have an opportunity to really transcend the relationship. Are you taking advantage of it? As far as how to get a hold of us is concerned,